The next features we're going to discuss are kind of a multiple special transactions. The first feature is going to be the refunds to customers as well as vendors. Let's start with the customers' refunds. On the home page, you'll see an icon in the customers section called Refunds and Credits. We'll click on that icon and identify the customer or job that we want to give a refund to. We'll assign the class, and then we'll assign what it is we're going to give them a refund for. Now, if you're giving a refund for products that you can resell, you can indicate the product here. However, if you're giving them a refund for a product that you cannot resell, you certainly don't want to bring it back into inventory. So I've created a miscellaneous other charge that we're going to give a refund for. If it's a refund for a service, you can certainly choose the service line item to give the refund for. That way it'll reduce your revenue. Your rate, let's just say it's a $50 credit. Now you have a couple options. When you click on Save and Close, you have an option to give retain it as available credit, give a refund, or apply to an invoice. You'll see that, of course, giving keeping it as available credit, you would just simply save and close this. But you'll also see these other two options are also icons at the top of your credit memo. In this case, we're going to apply it to an invoice, but if I had chosen to give a refund and then click on OK, you'll see that there's a check that pops up that would allow me to issue a check refund for this. Also, if you're using Intuit Merchant Services and they have a credit card on file, you could refund their credit card. I'll cancel this transaction so we can go back and actually apply it against a refund, or against an invoice. So we're going to apply this against an invoice. I'll click on this Use Credit to apply to invoice. And notice that it automatically chose the first line item in here because it could not find a transaction that equals $50. You see there's no transaction exactly $50. If you didn't want to apply it against this top first line, you can uncheck it and then select another line item to apply it against. Once you're done, you can click on Done, and then you can click on Save and Close. Now that credit memo has been fully applied against an invoice, it's no longer open to use. The second type of credit would be a vendor credit. Under the Enter Bills is where you're going to find this credit. You'll see at the top, the first option is it a bill or is it a credit? We're going to choose a credit, and we're going to choose an electrician. Perhaps they did electrical repair work in your office, and there was some kind of issue with it, and they decided to give you a credit memo in the future, repairs for $50. We'll go ahead and save that credit in the system. Oops, let me put a class in here. And this would be for overhead. And then we're going to put a bill in. Normally, of course, you'd have a bill in, or maybe you did get a bill for it later. So we'll go ahead and put a bill in so I can show you how to apply that credit. Let's say the bill is for $100 for overhead. Now, the only way to apply a bill credit against a bill is to go and pay the bill. When we click on Pay Bill, we can choose the vendor that we want to pay this bill for, and now it automatically chose the credit. I don't know why it did that, but we can click on Credit, and you can see that the credit has automatically been applied. Normally it doesn't choose the credit. I'm not sure why it just fancy did that, but it did. So we have the set credits. It's automatically been applied, and you can see the new total dollar amount due is $50. And then, of course, you can pay your bill. So choose credit card, whether you're going to, change it from credit card to check, whether you're going to print the check or assign check number. And then, of course, always verify the account that it's going to be pulled from. And again, make sure the date is correct. Once you're done, you can click on Pay Selected Bills. I said assign check number, so I can simply assign the next check number if I was handwriting a check. Of course, if I'm printing it, I would definitely want to choose to be printed. We'll choose Done here. The next section is going to be voiding versus deleting a check. I have covered this in a prior lesson, but I'll cover it again. Under the company's checking account, in this case, you'll find checks in here that looks like they all have a check number. There was an example where there was a to be printed. I'm not seeing it in here, but if a check is set to be printed, that has never been a check number, so you can simply delete that number, that item in there, if it certainly is never going to be, if it's never going to be processed. Another example, maybe you had a duplicate debit in there, maybe it was a debit card transaction and it was a duplicate. That can certainly be deleted if it was not supposed to ever be in there. However, if you have a check that is a check number and it has been printed, you want to void it. because you have a report under banking, which is missing checks, that you can always come back to and see where there's a missing check. In this case, there's duplicate check numbers in here. Usually you don't see that. Of course, when we're doing test files here, you might see that. But you normally wouldn't see that. Let me go back down here. It looks like these are in pretty good sequence, so it looks like just in the sample file there was some crazy stuff done. Here's an example of a missing check. So there's one missing check number. Chances are that was printed maybe in error, or you don't know. That's the problem with having not voiding checks, is you don't know, were they taken, were they stolen, what happened to them. So when you want to void a check, let's find an actual, if I have a check, here's a good one. So this is just a regular check. If I void this, it's simply gone out of QuickBooks. Of course, there's always an audit trail to go back to look for it, but it's virtually gone. Now, if I void a bill payment, that'll issue the bill, it'll make the bill active again. The payment will be gone, but the bill will remain active. I'm going to just void this one check. You can right-click on the check and simply click on Void Check. You'll hit Record, and it puts a memo in for just void. Now you have a period, a closed period. This seems to be working now. This wasn't working in 2013 for some reason. It seems to be working in this file, where it'll allow you to either just void the check, or it'll let you put in entries for a closed period so it doesn't impact a financial statement for a closed period. We're going to click on No, Just Void the Check. I'm actually glad to see that's working. Now, if you were in a bill payment and you right-click and void this bill payment, I'm going to show you that this payment will then show up back under this Bay City Backhoe Service. If we go into the vendor section and go to Bay City Backhoe Service, you'll see that this bill is now populated active again. And if you want to make changes to this bill, if this bill was no longer due, you would also have to void this bill. The next little special transaction would be using the shipping manager. Let's close these windows and go to the shipping manager. To use the shipping manager, you do have to have an account set up with these particular services. The three options that you have is FedEx, UPS, and United States Postal Service. For this lesson, I've set up an account with FedEx to use the FedEx manager. First of all, your account has to match. So this is the account that we have, and this is going to be who it's going from. 2, we can choose who the customer is. Let me actually do this from an invoice. That'll be actually better. So let's choose it to go to this particular customer. From in here, I mean, you could do it from the shipping manager, but we can also do it a send here. So we can go to the send ship, and we're going to ship it by FedEx. The reason I wanted to pull it in is because it'll actually pull in the customer's data. It looks much prettier. So the company name, it should have pulled in the company name, but let's choose Alberta. Cruise. All right, it pulled in the address based on the shipping address that we had for this customer. And you can choose whether it's a residential, whether there's going to be an email notification. Of course, you can put your, this is pulling mine in because that's what I just had for this customer. But you can see that it actually did pull from the customer's record. Who's going to be paying, whether it's a sender, recipient, or another third party. If it was the recipient, it would actually ask for account number, where if it's yours, it would actually plug in your own account number. The service is FedEx ground, but you can change it to any one of their options here. If it was going to be a FedEx box or another package, you would choose that type of package here. If it was a FedEx like overnight, you'd be able to choose a FedEx type envelope. The weight, maybe it's 2 pounds. If there was a declared value. Of course, it's pulling the invoice number from the invoice record in QuickBooks. You could add additional information such as the purchase order number or the invoice number. You can also add additional handling if it's oversized, delivery confirmation, and COD. When you're ready, you can simply click on Ship. It'll contact, all right, so this is a fake zip code. Let's try this again. Temple Terrace. Let's put an actual address in here. This was just a sample information, so I'm not sure that it's a legitimate address. Oops, that's not it. 33617. There we go. Let's try this again. Let's ship it. Let me try this. Oops.